I've always hated this big blank space on the side of my house because it's right on the back deck overlooking the backyard. So today I'm gonna fix it by building a big wooden W, but I'm also gonna add a little function to it. So my first step is to cut the boards to the relative size I want them to be, and then I'm going to glue them together and clamp them and let the glue dry before I move on to the next step. I'm marking around 25 inches on each end of each board, so I'll have 4 total. Then I'm going to use 2 shorter pieces about 19 inches long. Now that I have all my boards cut to length, I'm going to create 2 halves of my W. I'm going to glue them together and clamp them together separately, and then I'll put them together after it dries. That's right, I'm not using any fasteners to hold these boards together. A nice bead of Titebond wood glue along each edge will create a bond just as strong as the wood itself. I'm clamping the 2 sections together separately so that the glue can create a great bond before moving on. Now that the glue has set up for about 45 minutes, I'm going to remove the clamps so that I can glue the middle joint. But before I do that, I'm going to flip the boards over, and I'll show you why in a little bit. I did some doodling to figure out the exact shape of my letter. So now I'm using a straight edge of a leftover board to draw it on the back of my glued boards. Consider the shape of your letter before cutting your boards. For example, a P doesn't require long boards on the right side, so you can save your materials for another project. Now that I know the shape of my W, I'm ready to glue just the part that's going to stay together once I make all of my cuts. And while it's drying and setting up, I'm going to attach these little D hooks to the back, and that's how I'll hang it on the side of my house. And this time, instead of using clamps, I'm going to use bungee cords because to buy a clamp this big gets kind of pricey. Make sure your bungee is small enough so that it fits really tight once you hook it over the edges. Sliding these boards underneath will keep the bungee from pulling the edges up and keep the middle joint nice and flush. These are easy to find D-rings from the hardware aisle. This is where the function of this project comes in. I'm adding 2 herb planters to my W so I always have fresh herbs in reach of our grill. Now I'm ready to cut out my W. To get all the deep V's in the middle of it, I'm going to use the jigsaw, but before I get to that, I'm going to take the easy way out and use the circular saw on the straight cuts on the outside. You can use the circular saw for most of the inside cuts too, but you'll want to finish them off with a jigsaw. All right, let's hang it. Instead of using screws or nails to put holes in the siding of my house, I found these neat little clips that are made specifically for vinyl siding. So all they do is slip right in behind one of the laps, and then it's nice and secure, and I'm able to hang my W. Ta-da! Exactly what this little section of siding needed. Thanks for checking in. I've got so many projects to share with you, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss my next episode.